7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
The Geek Week in Review.
Hello and welcome back to the Geek Week in Review with me, Jacob's Toys. Of course, the wonderful one and only SuperSorrell. We got our good friend Ryan Speaks Geek in his Invisible Man costume, I think, maybe something like that.
Yeah, let's go with that.
And of course, we have got a special guest joining us very soon. For anyone that's familiar with us, then please.
It was me all along.
Website, geekweekinreview.co.uk for all the socials and all the rest of it. Ryan's interrupting our flow. Yeah, so here we go. So what are we on? Week 72?
72.
And this is going to be our Halloween special. So before we bring in our guest, let's just switch the background up a little bit.
No, that's too scary. Don't like it.
There we go. Halloween. So of course we do have a friend of the show joining us again for the second time. This is Ryan's first time meeting our guest, because you weren't one of our co-hosts back in the day when he first joined us. I think what episode?
No, it was back when the show wasn't as good, and then I came along, and then
what episode was it? Sorry, was it? I'm gonna guess episode 3. Are you looking?
I can have a quick look. Yeah, if you want me to, I can have a quick look.
We'll have a look. We'll have a look later. So anyway, without further ado, let's bring him in. He is known around the world as Nerdzoic, aka Big Nerdy. It of course is our good friend Matt. Matt, welcome
What's
back.
up, everybody? How you doing? Hey, thanks for having me.
No, thank you very much for fighting the time differences and joining us this week on week 72. Before we brought you in, we were trying to work out when it was that you joined us last time. I can't remember.
It was one of the first couple episodes. I was right behind David Displays because he told me I had to follow him up. Oh,
right. Wow. So there we go. So we're doing it live now. So we used to pre-record, which gave us a bit of an opportunity to chat outside of the internet. But now we're live, so there's no room for error. So there we go.
Sorry, it's so like there's no room for errors if we're like so professional normally.
There isn't.
Normally it's like cut the script and all that. Now
the first couple of shows, though, let's be honest, there was a lot of editing going on because we were getting it wrong. But now we're just kind of like, let's just go with it.
Part of our job.
You mean like the first ever show where you didn't even do an outro, you didn't know what an intro was? It was so funny introducing you to YouTube.
No, it was like my intro to YouTube, and I was like, yeah, okay, so thanks for everyone. Like, I didn't even say thanks. I was just like, right, cool.
You went, right, I think that's it. So you've got to say thank you for watching.
Sorrel was like, and there you go. So anyway, so we're going to try to keep an eye on the comments. Obviously, do jump in and join in with the conversations. So we're going to talk about a few things. So we've got quite a lot to talk about, even though this is technically our Halloween special. We're going to do a little bit on kind of Halloween and all the rest of it. But yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. So, Vic's in the audience. Hey, Girl Strikes Back. How you doing, Vic? We are going to talk MCM as well, because MCM London just took place this past weekend, and me and Mr. Ryan Speaks Geek were there with our press passes.
I left mine in the other room.
I haven't taken mine off. I've just worn. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I was just
sitting there trying to get backstage in Morrison's and all the other supermarkets going for press pass. Sorry, excuse me.
I was. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit about MCM because there was a lot of stuff going on there. I thought Sorrel was just really laughing at your bad joke there, but he's not. He's having a coughing fit.
I'm dying.
And we'll talk about stuff that's been going on this week. So, where do you gents want to start? Where do you want to start?
I think we should start with the fact that everyone's background looks super like professional. Mine looks like I wandered into a second-hand shop. Like, this is I mean, I know I really need to sort it out, and I'm getting there, but like, I put some skeleton lights up. That's a level of committedness I've made today.
That works.
But I mean, yeah, but look at Nerdzoic's like got this like, it just looks like it's lit from like he's got a studio light. Have you got like a crew behind you as well?
No, that's just a bookcase. You can actually see where my daughter was playing yesterday. the Spider-Man guys got beat up by Batman and Deathstroke because she didn't know I was paying attention. And I'm like listening to her, and she's got the whole scenario going on.
That's the best thing. I must admit, the best thing about letting my kids kind of play with my figures and stuff is the crossovers that you would never see, like, and the storylines that it's like, what's Peter Parker doing with Barbie? Like, no, they don't. So yeah, it's all good. I've got to say as well, Matt, you know, kudos on the room, because obviously you suffered from like a big flood thing, didn't you, not too long ago?
That was great.
But the comeback, it's a Rocky Balboa comeback story, seeing following that along on the internet and stuff. So well done for coming back and staying up there as well, staying your normal self and all the rest of it. So
yeah, it was not fun. I'll be honest, it was tough, but you know, me and the wife stuck through. We got through it. We had the toy store in our living room for 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
It's amazing. Like, you don't think about it, but like the amount of dirt that comes on shipping boxes, and when you're getting them in by pallet, it's just like, this ain't working.
Wow. Yeah. So, but it's all on the up and up now, isn't it? It's all,
yes, sir,
all in the right direction. Good stuff. So talking toys and talking shipping boxes, let's talk a little bit about MCM, because we can talk about some of the reveals there. And I had the pleasure of speaking to Marvel Legends, to G.I. Joe, Dungeons and Dragons, and Star Wars as well. So I might give you a little bit of an inside scoop on some of the things that I asked them, if you're
and
interested.
I spoke Transformers, because even though I wasn't meant to, I snuck myself in anyway.
He did. It was really cool, because Transformers was the only person I didn't request an interview with, and then literally the day before they dropped that HasLab, and I even said to him, I was like, if I'd known you were dropping that, I would have put a request in. I'm not even going to lie. Like, I would have talked to you. And Ryan, we were standing there waiting for Patrick over at Star Wars, and Ryan was like, I got 5 minutes. Like, can we roll? And it's like, yeah, okay, let's do it. So Ryan has got a little Transformers interview coming out as well. But yeah, MCM was good. It was good. We sat in on the panel. There was quite a few reveals, as you've seen. They've been thrown all over the internet now. A couple of interesting things were said, though. I was really curious, because Dan did mention that there was another Wakanda Forever figure coming, but they didn't mention what it was. And I don't know whether he was kind of alluding to the fact that female Black Panther figure had kind of leaked on the internet as well as being shown, or whether there is another figure to come.
I think he said, I'm trying to remember what his exact words, but it was something like hasn't been, I think he did use the word officially revealed yet.
Yeah.
So it might be that one. Oh,
that
has it?
Been, yeah, they showed it they didn't show it in the box, but they did show it at New York Comic-Con during the Marvel live stream. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, what did you catch any of the reveals that came out of London, Matt?
I sure did. I caught most of them. I didn't even know this was going on until it started popping up on my Facebook feed. You mentioned Rocky Balboa. So I'm like an hour and a half from Philly, where I live. I grew up in Philadelphia. This is like the world's craziest time for that city right now, because all of our sports team are good for the first time in history. The world might be ending. I don't even have a voice. I've been screaming so much the last week and a half. It's bizarro time. But I have been less on the toy news front, where usually I'm stalking that stuff. And I didn't even know this was happening until I started seeing pictures pop up yesterday. And I'm like, what's going on? I don't know about this.
Wow. So MCM that's a kind of our San Diego Comic-Con. It's like the biggest one in the UK, and it's where a lot of the brands sort of go down and reveal stuff. But because of COVID and whatnot, for the last couple of years, there hasn't really been much of a presence. So it's only really this year that we kind of got the brand reps back and stuff. So we was hoping for some reveals, but yeah, they didn't hold back at all. They brought a lot with them, which was really, really cool. Any that jumped out at you in particular, or Sorrow as well, because you obviously didn't get down, did you?
No, sadly, I wasn't able to get down there this year. I really want to do next year though. But the Star Wars news for me was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, that was the big one.
The 4 of the the publishing series, that they call it, the comic book
publications.
They were finally a Mara Jade in 6-inch. We're getting an awesome looking new Dr. Aphra. And obviously the gaming greats characters as well, finally.
Yeah.
I've known I've known Dr. Aphra was coming for a while. I was just on a hush gag with it. The Mara Jade and Darth Malik. Those two took me by surprise, and man, they hit me hard. I was like the Mara Jade in particular. Like that's like my favorite character growing up. Reading everything that I could get my hands on in the 90s after the Thrawn books came out. I was devastated when they, spoiler alert for 20 years later, killed her off in the Legends. And like that toy, and it looks great. I was so excited to see that.
She the one with the double lightsaber?
No, that's Bastilla Shan. That's Knights of the Old Republic. Mara Jade is from
publication.
No, and do you know what really makes me happy though is that Matt is clearly another 90s Star Wars fan. Like I was the Bantam era of books where it was all like, you know, this is the best little trilogies, all the comics, Dark Forces tying in with everything. Just the sweet spot of Star Wars, EU, in my opinion.
It's funny you say that. I have a video coming out tomorrow on 90s nerd life, and I touch on that, just how great the entire 90s era was for Star Wars, even though there was no movies until 99.
Like you even had micro machines in fake versions of books of the EU stuff, like with toys of like these EU characters. So you actually got merchandise from stuff that has nothing to do with films or anything like that, just constantly coming out. It was amazing. I miss it.
Yeah. They, funny enough, they did mention that sort of briefly at the panel, and they sort of said about how the 80s and the 90s were like that was like their era for a lot of the stuff that's coming out now. It's the kind of nostalgic era, which made me feel really old. I'm not gonna lie. Talking about like my childhood as like the nostalgic age, I was like, whoa, hang on, slow down.
Especially when a kid comes up to ask a question, they were like 15 years old, and they were like, so do you think that there will ever be? And you're like, oh my God, stop talking, please. Everything makes me hurt more.
You're making me feel really old. Ryan's there kind of dozing off, and I'm having to like nudge him and wake him up because he's having a sleep.
I'm younger than you.
I know you are. That's a scary thing. But no, they're Darth Malik as well. I tell you what, in person, it is a really awesome figure. Like the detail in that head sculpt is like, I don't think the production pictures do it total justice. Like they've really gone to town on it, and the mask like opens up and everything. It's a really nice figure. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, they had them all. They're all in the cabinets, and the funny thing is that the Star Wars section of that panel went on for about 25 minutes, and the whole thing was only sort of scheduled for, I think it was 50 minutes. And there was 4 brands out there and 5 people on stage, and it was kind of like, wow, you've taken like half of the time just talking Star Wars. So we kind of had an expectation of what was coming from the other brands, but yeah, Star Wars, it was just every single
and the speeder bike for the vintage collection was amazing as well. That was another one that was like, it hit a lot of nostalgic boxes for like vintage sort of Kenner styles. It sort of meets their new brief with the whole new packaging, but seeing that in person again with the 3-way display stand, but having the panel being lifted up to see the engine, the removable bag, the hover point, like seeing it in person again, like you said, Jake, like, a lot of time the photos when they come up on the big screen, they look amazing, but when you're seeing it in the cabinet, like you can see the tiny little details, and it's just awesome. So good.
So a couple of the questions that I put to Patrick afterwards in my interview, I'll tell you what they were. So the first thing I asked him was about whether there's any kind of characters that are off the table. So this was a question that me and Sorrell were bouncing around, and it was things like Slave Leia and Ula and stuff like that. And surprisingly, his answer was like, no, like nothing's off the table. No. There's no reason why we wouldn't do something in the future. It's just looking for the right time to do it. And I was like, oh, okay.
I think it's like one of those things where people have said it so often in groups on Facebook, so that people just believe it as an unwritten rule that Hasbro are never going to make a Slave Leia. But it wasn't that long ago that they renamed her, obviously from Slave Leia. They renamed it to Hutt Slayer. The Hutt Slayer Leia is what they now call her.
And it's not like we don't have other Hasbro characters that are scantily clad. So
exactly.
Like, Pyro was last year, and there was not much to her. Granted, she was orange.
Yeah. And then you got the Rancor Keeper, you know, he's not got a shirt on and he's looking pretty sexy.
I mean, he's got that dad bod thing going on.
He has. His milkshake still bringing those boys to the yard. And he's like, you know.
You don't see any of us dad bod characters complaining because they're releasing characters that suddenly claim. but I put a couple of other questions. I kind of asked a little bit about their HasLabs, because their HasLab projects have kind of been a bit touch and go, haven't they? Like, you know, a couple of them have been really good and a couple of them haven't quite met funding.
Basically, when they stray from the almighty 3 3/4 inch, that's why.
And that's pretty much what Patrick said. Is he just said that, you know, it seems the vintage collection, like the 3 3/4 inch kind of size, is where the HasLab is. So, you know, is that something that they should kind of look to and focus more on? That was kind of the direction of his answer. To which point I pitched to him the Ewok Village idea that we've been bouncing around on the on this show, and that's essentially redoing the Ewok Village, and the unlocked tiers all being different parts and catapults and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, yeah, sounds like a good idea. I was like, right, well, if you do it, I want a cut, because, like, you know, you heard it here first, sort of thing. And I did ask him about the sail barge, interestingly enough, because for us here in the UK and European markets, that HasLab wasn't achievable at all at that point. So UK collectors just didn't even get a shot at that, and they're now paying huge aftermarket prices for this sail barge. And it was just kind of more along the lines of, would it ever be revisited or something like that, now that Hasbro is more international? And the answer was just pretty much no. Like, there wasn't. There was no nice way of
kill the HasLab brand if they did that.
Yeah, that's it. And I thought, but I had to ask. I had to put it there. And just,
I know, but my main irritant with that is that we really did not even get a chance to. And the fact they've already got the molding, I don't see why they couldn't even do just an EU version, you know, like they did just a US one. If they just did an EU one for a short window, you know, they just said, look, we're putting another 1,000, 5,000 or whatever on just EU, but once that's sold out sort of thing.
That they could do. They just could not sell it in the States or do any of the state stores, because it would just undermine them going forward.
Agreed. Yeah,
of course.
It just needs to be where it wasn't available last time. And I think that would be a fair compromise, and I think people would be okay with that. Because the other thing is, if anyone in the US really wanted to get them from Europe from that batch, people find a way. It's like Jurassic Park, you know, nerds find a way.
Yeah, but let's be honest, Ryan. If they made it an EU exclusive, we wouldn't be allowed it anyway, because we've been.
Oh God!
Watch how you word it. Watch how you word it.
Oh.
Yeah, shots fired.
I forgot
anyway,
about that.
but that was kind of Star Wars. I'll leave the rest of it to the questions. But I had about 10 minutes with him. He was, you know, he was a great guy, and it was actually a lot of fun to talk to in person. Like, Patrick's streams aren't my favorites to watch when you've got people like Emily and Dan and Ryan and stuff doing their streams, but he was a lot of fun to talk to in person, and was quite forthcoming with a lot of his answers as well.
Did he say yes indeed? Yes indeed. That's his favorite word to say.
Not to me, actually. He didn't. He did on the panel. He did on the panel, I'm sure of it, but not to me. Not to me. I should have set it up, shouldn't I? So see if I could get that as an answer. But it was a lot of fun to talk to. It was a lot of fun to talk to. I'm really passionate about the things that he had brought over, which was really exciting to see as well. And he did say quite a few times how he likes the London cons and likes coming over and that. So it felt like he had kind of brought as much as he could and was excited to talk about it. So yeah, I was just totally blown away. And we also had the 3 3/4 inch Pez Vizsla, is it, the heavy artillery Mando? And even that looked really good, really good. When me and Ryan saw it, I was like, it's just too small. It's just, as I'm not really a 3 3/4 inch collector, I was like, it's just a little bit too small. But it
basically,
really
what he meant to say was he turned to me and just said, Jake, I've been, Jake looked at me and went, Ryan, I've been wrong all these years. I'm getting rid of all my 6-inch figures. I'm reconverting to 3.75. But he said, whatever you do not tell everyone on the Geek Week and review that. So,
no,
honestly,
6-inch for life. Transformers was next. Transformers we spoke to as well, and they didn't have a lot to share on the panel, because it was all HasLab, really, wasn't it, Ryan?
It was mostly HasLab. So we had 2 reveals though, which was pretty cool. So Transformers have moved into the holiday themed bit. So obviously, Star Wars really has been leading with the holiday themed figures, which are very divisive. People either love them or hate them. It's always going to be divisive, anything that's holiday related, let's be honest, when it comes to taking a normal brand and then just slapping Christmas or Halloween decorations on it. But Transformers have done that now as well. So now we've got I thought it was going to be Amazon Prime. I thought that was going to be the crossover, because I thought that was obvious, but nope, it's Christmas Prime. So it's a holiday style Optimus Prime. It actually looks really fun.
It should have been the Coca-Cola truck.
It's difficult. I don't know what the relationship is there, because technically they did do a Pepsi Prime many years ago. They used the G1 Optimus Prime, and it had like a Pepsi bottle trailer. It was a very odd time.
That was a huge missed opportunity. That holidays are coming. They could have done a Coca-Cola Optimus Prime truck. That's.
I'm just saying, give it a few years. It will happen. But and the other big so that was one reveal. And the other one was they've used the Studio Series 86 Perceptor mold, and what they've done it in for part of the Generation Selects. Generation Selects is one of these things where you get in these kind of nice blanket brown boxes, and they're like really obscure characters, but from existing molds. And this is Magnificus, which is based on the Diaclone colors for the original Perceptor toy. And again, looks absolutely awesome. They've done a few different versions over the years, but I think this is the best one because it really is the definitive sort of Perceptor mold for the animated series. So that's all coming soon as well. But when I spoke to Ben afterwards as well, I was sort of asked him about the sort of where it was going, because the good thing about the new line is that where it's legacy, it is across everything. So it's all comics, cartoons, basically anything that's not the live action films is on the table to be sort of tapped into. And so this whole line is going to be made of stuff from across this Transformers universe and timescales and everything. But he did say things like the Junkions. So without actually confirming, because he definitely can't confirm, but it's basically going to happen, there's going to be some really interesting new Junkions coming, because this new version of what the fossilized is, where it's like a bot that you can attach to other bots to sort of bulk up, turn it into accessories, turn it into its own thing, do so much with it. So that's all coming. And I asked him about cassette Transformers as well, because I'm a big fan of cassettes. And basically, we're going to get some more of those. without it being confirmed, but we're getting more of those.
So you asked the guy who makes the figures, "Are we getting more figures?" And he said, "Yes, you're getting more figures."
Okay, but that's stupid though, because I could just say that about your questions to Dan. Oh, we're getting another Spider-Man. Are we getting another Iron Man?
I did not ask. That is not one of the questions. That was.
You don't know Transformers, all right? Don't you dare come into. He's coming here. You're stepping over my fence, coming into my yard, and asking my question.
That was not one of my questions. Okay, Dan. So I've got this question. Will we get another Spider-Man anytime soon?
You might as well have asked that. You devolved my question enough. Basically, that's why I asked. Devolve your question. That's what you ask.
That's not.
Honestly, this guy. You let this guy in.
But. Talking about their HasLab, did you catch the 1027 event, Matt?
I did. The one that it just popped up as, "Hey, do you want to go to this?" I'm like, I thought this was private. I clicked. I'm like, I guess it's not. I guess I'm watching this.
Yeah, it was the same. Like it popped up all over the place, and I don't know how Prime members. I don't know if Prime members know that like lots of people watched it, or whether it was a clever tactical kind of thing. I don't know, but there was a lot of people watching it.
We couldn't comment though. That was the thing. The comments were off, so we weren't, because we haven't paid the special £40 privilege for the comment with Hasbro. So
okay, that makes sense.
I've read those comments. I can abstain from being near those sections, so that's fine.
Yeah, I always find that I didn't even read them. The comment sections on Hasbro live streams tend to be quite vicious,
brutal.
Yeah, really brutal. But I thought that the Transformers, you have to forgive me, Ryan, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was Deathsaurus was phenomenal looking. As a HasLab project, like put a throne with any figure and I'm in. Like, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm cool. But it looked great, and they had it in the cabinet at MCMs. They had like the early block version of it. And it looks good. Like if that's your
and they had the Victory Saber, which is like his sort of heroic counterpart. They had that there, which was their last sort of HasLab from that sort of tier. The other thing as well, it was good price point. So this is more in like 180 sort of ballpark sort of figure. So it's not like another like Unicron sized remortgage your house scale one. It's like just a sell maybe some of your kids' favorite toys kind of level of HasLab. So that's really good.
To give you an update, so looking on Pulse at the moment, there is 43 days and 7 hours left. They only need 11,000 backers, and it's already on 5,117. And it is 189.99 over here.
Oh, there you go. So
that's getting funded. Let's be honest.
Did they have a early bird on this one?
Nope.
Do they? No, they don't. Do they? They literally just announced everything.
Yeah, they just kept it basic. They just said, this is what it is. This is what you get if we get to these numbers. This is all of it. This is me. Greatest Showman. Done. They were happy with it. And everyone likes that.
Yeah.
I'm
No, fair
surprised
play.
it's not farther along, to be honest. Like, I thought it would have more people there.
Well,
I
they
think
did say to
people-
us about the different markets, because there's different markets in the world, obviously, isn't there? There's the big US market, there's the big kind of European market, and he said that a huge portion of the backers for this kind of stuff come from the other
Takara.
parts of the world. Yeah.
Takara does like about a big 5,000 apparently, or something stupid like that. Quite a huge amount.
Yeah. So I think that's when it opens up there. That's when you'll see it just kind of shoot up. So, yeah. The other brands there were obviously Marvel, G.I. Joe, Dungeons and Dragons, and Magic the Gathering. Emily covers all but one of those, and her presentation was quite short. There was no kind of big reveals or anything like that. They showed us what was really interesting actually about Emily's presentation is she kind of mapped out how they announce things, and she excuse me, told us about like the name reveal, the render reveal, and the product reveal, and sort of went, right, we haven't got any product reveals at the moment, but we have got a render reveal and we have got a name reveal. So it was kind of, oh, okay, so kind of built expectations in that way. And we saw the render reveal for the Big Ben character, which they kind
Looks pretty cool.
He looked all right. You know, he's a big one in the G.I. Joe kind of lore. And you know, I know that for like the UK markets, like because of being a UK guy and all that kind of stuff, there was a lot of kind of pressure to get him right. But they said that London Comic-Con was obviously the place to announce him. And then Patrick said something like, "Oh, I went for a walk last night and saw the real Big Ben, and I think this one looks better." It was like, "Oh, don't come into our house and just it's like
Throwing some shade in our buildings.
turn up at Washington and say that the White House wasn't white enough or something, like, you know what I mean? It's like,
To be fair, that's really how you really insult us. Though, is go for our architecture. That's our real. That's our real weakness.
I was gonna get really kind of panicky, and when they asked questions, I was gonna go up and say like, just out of curiosity, how was it that you saw the bell on your walk last night? Like, you know, because that's like the Big Ben, isn't it? The bell and everything. But I thought, no, I'm not that petty, and I'm interviewing you later, so I better keep it friendly. But yeah, so there was those, and the one thing that they did kind of tease is she said about the mole rats is the kind of the working title for something that they didn't show us anything about, but she did say that it's an army builder, a potential army builder. So I've kind of been digging around trying to find out if I could find anything there. Cool. Hang on, I'm just gonna have to throw this up, Matt, because someone in the comments is giving you big props there.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, good stuff. Obviously we'll put all your links to your store and everything in the description of this video anyway. But yeah, go get your fix from Zoic. But yeah, and I did ask about army builders when I spoke to her about whether that's a potential possibility moving forward, because we've seen it with Marvel Legends. You know, they've done the kind of the cheaper boxes and the army builder characters. And I did ask Patrick as well regarding Stormtroopers and Clone Troopers and whether we'd see those in like an army builder kind of box with a 6-inch. And both brands are just kind of like, yeah, it's definitely something we're looking at because of the success on other brands and stuff. So they didn't really give us an answer, but didn't say no. And with Emily's interview.
Sorry, I think G.I. Joe could really benefit from accessory packs.
Mate, it's one of my questions.
Just packs of guns and stuff would be awesome.
That was one of my questions, and she was the only person that I put that question to that was actually quite forthcoming with an answer in regards to, yeah, this is definitely something we're looking at because it's all about the storytelling and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And she said it's just a case of finding out what the right things would be. Whereas other brands have kind of said, well, we can't really do them because what would you put in there, and hands are different and all that kind of stuff. Whereas with G.I. Joe, like you say, just a whole, you know, like other brands are doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and third-party brands.
Weapons and all sorts. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah. And I also talked about the animals in G.I. Joe because, you know, for Hasbro, the animals are definitely second to none with the G.I. Joe brand. And she said there's definitely more coming. There are definitely more coming. So to keep your eyes on that. So
I think it's funny because this year when I was thinking about what figures I'm going to be putting in like my top 10 of the year, Fiona was definitely up there. I'm not going to lie. Fiona the alligator was definitely up there. Yeah, man, it's one of the best G.I. Joes that released this year.
Yeah. It's an incredible figure, and she even joked about that and said it's a Fiona it's a Fiona action figure with like a Croc Master accessory. Yeah. She said like that's how they talk about it. But it was quite a good interview with her. With Dungeons and Dragons as well. I also talked about crossovers, whether we're going to get any kind of Stranger Things tie-in or anything like that. Again, that was something that me and Sorrell were throwing about. And her kind of answer was like, never say never, but licenses and stuff like that. But I think that it's one of those things that with Stranger Things announcing their final season coming up, in a couple of years' time, they're not going to be as hot topic as they are right now. And they're going to be looking at that. That's how I heard. That's how I kind of interpreted it.
One of the reasons I gave you that question was because, like, I know everyone says like licensing issues, but if you look at the likes of Cobra Kai, Diamond Select are producing those figures, but also Hasbro have started doing them with the Power Rangers crossover now. So it's not like licensing is an issue. Yeah, I know Bandai have Stranger Things, but there's no reason why Hasbro couldn't throw their hat in and get a license for it.
Yeah, it would be a good crossover to have. And then the last person on the panel obviously was Dan over at Marvel Legends, and they brought some decent reveals and some mediocre reveals, I guess. Like,
did you know who they were? Did you know who those characters were? Be honest, because I had no clue.
No, the like Zero I've seen before in the comics, but not to the extent where I've kind of been sat back going, oh, I really want that obscure character that I forgot his name. That's essentially just a plain white buck. Like no. And I'm a kind of a little bit over the what if wave as well. Like the Killmonger finger. The Killmonger
you got this,
figure
man.
looked. I've got it. Thanks. It looked good like, on the renders, but we've got that already. Like we had that figure, and it was like, oh, he's got a spear and he's got Black Panther gauntlets, and it's kind of like, well, you know what? I've got a spear because I've got a Mando, and I've got Black Panther gauntlets because I've got a Black Panther. So like, you change the color of his pants, it's nothing to kind of get overly excited about. Ultimate Captain America and Extremist Iron Man, I was definitely down for. I was kind of like, yeah, they're figures that I can get behind, and I got quite excited for those. But the others, not so much. And I put a couple of questions to Dan regarding. I won't go too deep.
If there's going to be a new Spider-Man, if there's going to be a new
whether there was a new Spider-Man, new Iron Man, new Wolverine, and all that stuff. But no, I did talk about some of the properties like Werewolf by Night, and the monsters in Marvel Legends, because like the Dracula and the Frankenstein and stuff. And he sort of said that it's all there you go. Ooh. He said there's no plans yet to revisit them, but they're not off the table. They're not things that they can't do. There's no kind of licensing.
So what you're telling me is to hold on to Man-Thing, Elsa Bloodstorm, and my Werewolf by Night from the Toy Biz days. I've got to hold on to them for now.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Do not be getting rid of that builder figure just yet, unless you want to make a profit.
The Werewolf by Night who can't look up. Yeah, because that figure cannot look up. It has no neck joint.
I think his answer to it was quite good, because I was like, Werewolf by Night took the fandom by kind of storm, didn't it? Like I didn't really see that many negative reviews for Werewolf by Night. And I said, with that being so popular, is there any chance that we're going to see anything, like a Werewolf and Man thing 2-pack? And he said the problem is that was a one-off Halloween special, and then you've got shows like She-Hulk that have got 8-episode runs, and they have to kind of look at which ones they're going to go in that respect of how they're going to go. And I said, even if it's like a kind of a stylized kind of grayscale shaded to kind of tie in with the show, I just want I want an MCU Man thing and an updated Werewolf by Night. So if you could do that, thank you very much. That's brilliant. And I touched on the HasLab with him, but I didn't want to.
Sore subject.
Yeah, they didn't talk too much about it at the on the panel either.
They didn't at all.
It was kind of like just going HasLab. That's still there.
Yeah,
they have 24 hours to get 5,000 something subscribers.
With that said, though, it's the first time in a couple of weeks where I've seen the back account go up. It's only gone up by a couple, but it's actually gone up by a couple where it has been constantly dropping down. I mean, unless those couple of people buy like 15, 20 each, it's not going to make much of a difference. But yeah, I didn't kind of stoke the fire too much. The only question, gone.
I would say the only at this time, I think if they were to say for the base value, we'll give you all the tiers, then it would skyrocket, I think. But because of the fact that everyone knows you're not going to get the tiers now, it's not going to sell. Which is a shame because of the new figure, like the sort of statements like that. There's some great figures there.
Yeah.
But it's just that they're hidden away behind a paywall, like a locked door. So I mean,
yeah,
if they were to
include those in
the base value, I'd back it instantly.
What was your thought?
Any of you three backed?
Nope.
No.
If it would have a chance at the figures, I would. Like, I just could care less about Danny Ray as Ghost Rider. Like, I've read 1 or 2 issues of it. It's not something that I'm going to drop $350 on.
To be perfectly honest with you, and I'll tell you what, I backed it at the beginning because I missed out on Galactus. Like, I wasn't able to back Galactus this time last year, and it haunts me still. But I will get my hands on him one day. But I backed it right at the beginning because I thought that there was going to be a better journey up until this point, and I left my hat in the ring because it's clearly not gonna.
Yeah.
It's clearly not going to back. So I was kind of like, I don't need to go through the rigmarole of cancelling my order and being that guy that kind of talks about cancelling it and make a big thing out of cancelling it. I'm just kind of like, you know what? I backed it at the beginning because I hoped that there was going to be more to it. And I can quite happily leave that backing in there because it's not going to make a difference. So
and you wait, and you get so busy tomorrow night with the kids trick or treating that you forget to check on it. You wake up November 1st. Oh my God, more
It's actually funded.
Yeah, I was like, wow. But no, I did. One thing I did say to Dan is I said that has the journey that the Hell Charge or the Engine of Vengeance has been on, has that shaped your approach to HasLabs moving forward? Because you know, obnoxiously or whatnot, Marvel have had a very good run with HasLabs so far. They've had 2 very strong HasLabs, and the Sentinel was the fastest backed HasLab of all time, and still I think holds that record. And so I just sort of said, you know, has this one kind of opened your eyes a little bit, or has it changed your approach to it or anything? And he said that basically the ideas that they have for the next HasLabs are still very much kind of in the ring. This hasn't changed it. So that did say to me that this was a one-off, if that makes sense. That's how I interpreted that answer, was that, you know, if you had the next 2 or 3 planned or penciled in and they were all similar, they were all vehicles, or they were all obscure characters, or they were all the tiers didn't match up, you would now change your plan after this, I think. Whereas, so for him to sort of say that they're still in the ring, I kind of took it that the next HasLab isn't necessarily going to be another car.
Yeah, I still maintain that the biggest problem with this HasLab has been, whatever people say about the figures, I still think it's too big a price point for what it is. And I think when compared to other things have come out for that price point, you know, I still to this day cannot see how the cars, I know they did that video trying to explain where some of the cost was, but I just can't see how a Razor Crest with all that detail, moving parts, integral design, all that stuff, can, you know, value wise, I just can't understand it. And like comparing Galactus to the vehicle, I just can't see where the money translates. I think that's the problem. A lot of people are struggling with that. If it was a bit less, obviously people would go like, you know, maybe. I do think that is genuinely its biggest weakness. Is that it's hard to see where the money translates regards to other projects to this one.
So I'll kind of piggyback on that, and that's a huge problem. I agree. The Bobby Valla did a little thing where he kind of pointed out the fact that there's more tooling in one of the Sentinel's hands than there is in the entire car, and that the profit margin on this thing must be gigantic because there's not much to it. Mm-hmm. And I think that has been a theme of Hasbro since the new CEO took over, and it's been my biggest complaint of them is that there's not any transparency in pricing anymore. Like, if you're going to bring the prices up $5, I understand. Economy stinks. You haven't raised prices in forever. But why does Spider-Man cost more than everybody else just because he's Spider-Man? That's what bothers me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that sort of taking what you've both just said, I think Matt has got a stronger point in the respect of the character choice and the kind of the buy-in from the general consumer. I don't think there was enough investment in that character to warrant the thing, because we can talk about price point, but in all fairness, you say about the Razor Crest, but for me, that'd be a huge waste of money because none of my figures fit in it. So, you know, everybody has a, but it doesn't. If I was to buy the Razor Crest,
no, but but that's not aimed at you, and it's not.
No,
that doesn't determine. But that doesn't determine the value of it. That it's not aimed at you. That the value is about what you're physically getting for the series of figures it's for, like the tooling and the design and the size of it.
The point I'm making is that the values, like it's only as valuable as the thing that you're going to use it for. So the Razor Crest, for example,
that's philosophically it's only worth the value. I'm talking about physical, plastic and engineering value. So, that's where it falls.
If I'll tell you what, one thing I can guarantee is if this HasLab was £100 less or $100 less, people would still have the same complaints. They would still have the same reasons for not backing it, and they would still come up with the same excuses as to why they weren't interested, because there isn't the emotional buy-in. And that's the thing that you have to get with anything, because it doesn't. You just got to look at other brands of how expensive Hot Toys are, for example. But people get the emotional buy-in, and they can justify the cost of something. Prime example, yeah. Prime example, and that's what I think is that we can argue price points and we can argue value for money and all that kind of stuff all day long. What's value to money for me wouldn't necessarily be value to money for you, etc. But if you can get the emotional buy-in, that kind of value for money and how much I'm willing to part with is faded a little bit, isn't it? That's my kind of
I think we'll have to respectfully disagree.
Yeah. But I think if they had thrown in one of the other Ghost Rider characters as a tier, it would have backed, I think. That's my personal opinion. But
I think also I'm sort of almost hoping for this this one to be like over as well. It has to be done with. I think because I'm just also bored of people posting videos going, here's why I'm not backing it, and here's why I'm doing this. And I kind of am bored about hearing. It's actually made me go, like, I don't want to hear about Ghost Rider at all anymore.
No.
I didn't even make one. Usually I make a video on every HasLab. This one I'm just like, nah, everyone's got this covered.
Yeah, this is done. See, I did a couple, but I tried to go down the angle of something different in regards to kind of other things on the market, or, you know, the tier levels and stuff like that, as opposed to kind of where I was or something like that, because no one cares whether I've backed it. Like, what difference does that make? If I've backed it, it's not going to make a difference to anyone. Like, I wouldn't care whether Johnny Blaze himself backed it. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't make a difference.
It's become clickbait. Like, you have the Hasbro loyalists versus the Hasbro haters, and it's like a toy influencer civil war. It's actually borderline interesting to watch.
It's bizarre. It's really engulfed a spark in the community of like
Elite Legend has become my new go-to channel to watch because of this whole thing. He doesn't hold back at all.
No, that is definitely a channel.
And the fact that he loves to roast Dan, who just makes it even more funnier.
That's it. Being
a fellow Brit, it's funny just seeing his little image pop up on screen every 2 minutes.
The funny thing is that we saw Dan. Dan was at MCM, and we actually caught up with him, and we chatted for a little while and stuff. And it was I also saw Dave as well. Dave Displays was like, he was, because we were at the front of the panel, like in like press seats, like I'm just saying. But we were at the front of the panel, and then they asked the questions, and I recognised the voice and the baseball cap straight away, and I was like, oh, it's Dave. But I couldn't exactly go, Dave. All right, mate. Like, sorry, Hasbro, just like, it's Dave.
I still think that would have been funny.
Yeah, it would have been quite hilarious. Like,
that's the thing I love about the UK cons though, because like we were saying in the private chat this week, unlike when it's over in like San Diego and stuff, when you get all the Americans that kind of like wind each other up and stuff on YouTube, all of us guys in the UK are all know one another. We're all friends. So I think it's dead funny when like you see like when you see like you say you see Dave, it's like, oh, I've never met you in person, Dave.
Yeah, that's what me and Dan were saying. Like, we were like, we've obviously known each other for like quite a few years now. Yeah, like a number of years through the communities and stuff. But we've never actually been in the same room together. I was like, you're actually a bit taller than I thought you would be. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like you're right. So, but no, it's good to catch up with him. So he's a good guy. But yeah, but that was kind of in a nutshell. That was the MCM Comic-Con. Yeah. Oh, the one last Marvel Legends they had the Pretty Boy prototype that we saw the renders for that, and they had the earlier prototype like in the cabinet, and that looks really cool. Especially as like a robot-y cyborg type of character. So
I have no clue who that is.
He's one of the Reavers, you know, with Bonebreaker and Lady Deathstrike and stuff. No,
I know those two, but I have no memory of Pretty Boy.
No, I'm only familiar with him because I went back and read a couple of the stories after they announced the Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure. I was like, cool, I'm going to refresh myself with these guys because I think we're going to see a few more. I think my only complaint was Random as well. Did you see that one? The Random figure? Not the Random figure, the character Random with the big cannon hand.
Oh, the Hoover arms.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And they just made him too small, I think, in my opinion. He should have been on a bigger buck, but hey ho. So yeah, anything else you want to know or talk about from MCM? Are you good?
Did you guys get to see the Orb?
The Orb?
The big eyeball guy?
No.
Oh, that's the one I'm like most excited for. They revealed a picture of it at PulseCon.
Yeah, no, he wasn't there.
That's like the one I'm actually excited for. I think I'm like one of the 3 people.
Yeah, it's don't get me wrong. I love the obscure characters. I really do love the obscure characters, and I've still got ones in my cabinet that I just couldn't let go of because they were just too obscure, and it was kind of like, you know, if I let this one go, I don't think they're going to redo it. So, and I did ask Dan about reuse and reissue as well. So there's that question in my interview as well. But yeah, no, it's a good event. The cosplay though, I tell you, it was so busy. It was almost like the UK kind of the MCM market had kind of been like, you know what, we've been away for 3 years, so we're going to go hard. Like it was intense. But me and Ryan like had a bit of a running joke where it's like when you're at a convention, you see a Harley Quinn, you punch the other person. Like Ryan was punching me a lot, but we changed the game up because there's less Harley Quinns now at conventions, but man, is there a lot of Mandos. Like literally every corner you turn, you're face to face with a Mandalorian. It's kind of, yeah.
I thought it'd been the more Hellfire shirts.
Oh, they're everywhere.
Oh, actually, no. Yeah, they were. Yeah. There was a lot of Eddie Munsons. To be fair,
they even sold the Hellfire shirt at the MCM official store.
Everyone
like
has one.
Yeah, I got one from Primark actually. I quite like the shirt design. I got one from Primark. I was like, yeah, this only cost me like, the £8 version rather than the, you know, like, buy it at Comic-Con. It's only $49.99. Like, oh, okay, no.
the budget version of Eddie Munson. So TV wise, let's talk some TV shows. Obviously, Wakanda Forever had their red carpet premiere and all the rest of it. Really looking forward to that one. But there's not a huge more to say about the film because there's not been any kind of leaks or any other things. I did read that Doctor Doom isn't going to show up. There's a lot of rumours that he was going to show up, but there's a couple of articles saying, don't know where you heard this, but it's not happening. But whether that's
swerve, man.
Yeah. I think one of the more interesting rumours or castings that I read about was Sacha Baron Cohen being cast as Mephisto in the Ironheart TV show.
That'd be cool.
What were the thoughts on that? You're not sure there, Matt?
No, I had thought I read that it was the guy who played Negan in Walking Dead who was cast to do it.
No, supposedly it's Sacha Baron Cohen, Ali G, Borat. You know,
well, I guess we know what we're getting with this then. It's going to be just funny.
Well, I don't know.
Actually, he's a very accomplished, serious actor. He's a very accomplished comedian, but actually his straight comedian roles, non-comedic roles are really good. He's a very talented actor, and he was actually the original casting for Freddie Mercury in the biopic for Queen. They parted ways for creative differences, but he's actually an incredibly intelligent man, and he's a very genuinely good actor. And the other thing you've got to remember about comedy actors, a lot of comedy actors make very good drama actors.
Yeah, I just see like the typecasting going in, and with the Marvel humor that I think we all love, I think it's just going to be too tempting for them to be like, give us an all right.
Mephisto in a mankini, basically, is what you're worried about.
White strung on cloud.
But I thought it did tie in a lot with the kind of stuff that we've seen, because we've seen set photos of the Hood that is taking place. He's appearing in Ironheart, and so obviously that's the kind of demonic link there. So Mephisto coming into the MCU via that storyline would work. I'm not quite sure how Ironheart is going to fight demonic kind of Doctor Strange-esque characters, but
as long as
with science magic,
angry, like his toy, I'll be happy.
Yeah,
he's got to be like this the whole time.
I think that the one thing that I thought the timing was really bad for that announcement, though, because just as Hasbro are trying to sell their HasLab because of the Mephisto tier, they announced that Mephisto is coming to the MCU, which means that they already would have started potential moldings for a live action version of Mephisto. So it's only a matter of time. We are getting a Mephisto figure. So there we go. Did any of you guys check out Tales of the Jedi?
Yes, I watched all of it.
I can't wait, but I haven't yet.
Oh
man, I just
split
because it's so short. I thought everyone would have watched it. So I didn't know what it was originally, like much about it. I thought it was going to be like full 20-minute episodes. I think the longest one is like 19 minutes, but without all the credits, it's like probably about 15.
Oh, really?
But so there's 6 episodes. I think it totals about 90 minutes across the whole thing, maybe at a push. But there's like one of the episodes is like 12 minutes. One of the episodes is 19. They are in sort of a chronological order, I guess you could say, but they're all their own little separate things. But they're really good. And I'll tell you what. So I'm not going to do any spoilers or anything, don't worry. But just as like a non-spoiler sort of review thought process of it, it's beautiful to look at. If you take away like any of the story elements, it is just stunning. It's like saying to Jake this on the train. It's the concept art they've done recently for things. You know, particular kind of brushwork. All the shots they look like concept art come to life. Like it's some of the close shots of some of the faces. You can almost see like brush strokes. It's absolutely stunning, and the musical score like that goes with it is just it's amazing, because even when there's bits when no one's saying anything, the music makes it sound like so much is going on. Like it's for short little clips, like for videos. I think it's one of my favorite Star Wars things I've seen in a while. Like, and I'm trying to not spoil it, but they're good because they're good things you can just get in when you go like, right, I get in from work, I've got like 15-20 minutes, I could just put one on, you know. But yeah, you won't regret it. Do it.
I will totally do that. I might do that tonight now. I'm out of sports to watch today, so.
Yeah, I've watched the first couple. Yeah, it's a decent enough TV show. What else have we had? Andor. Have you been catching up with Andor, Matt?
I haven't watched a single episode yet, and here's why. I'm like one of the 3 people who did not care for Rogue or whatever it was, Rogue Leader, Rogue what I can't remember the name. Rogue One. Yeah, see, I'm lost. I watched it twice.
Angry.
Yeah, I watched it twice to make sure, but I just don't care for it.
But that's the thing, though. Everyone always thinks that because like you don't like it and I like it.
You've set him off, Matt.
See, this is what annoys me about Star Wars fans. There's this weird assumption that because Matt doesn't like it, that I'm going to get angry at Matt for not liking it. But he's absolutely allowed. No, I'm getting annoyed because your first thing you two did was go like, "Oh, Ryan's going to get angry," and I'm not.
Here he goes.
Oh God, you lot are such a wind up. No, but I actually hate this about Star Wars fans, is that you're not allowed to not like something, but it's like people get really angry at you for not liking something, or people get really angry at you for liking something. Like me saying I like the prequels because I grew up with them. I was 9 when it came out, and I was the same age as Anakin, so I wanted to be Anakin. I love those films, but you know, people on the internet go, "You can't like those films. You're not a real fan." And then if you don't like something, like, "Can't believe you don't like it. You're not a real fan." It's a really weird thing. But like, if you didn't like Rogue One, that's fine, man. Yeah.
Say again, Matt?
It's weird.
The internet's a weird place, especially the Star Wars internet. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And then especially if you give a reason that people don't like for you not liking something, then it's really, woo!
Yeah.
End of the world. Yeah. For me, it's simple, though. The lack of Jedi and Sith, I was just like, oh, look, we got a guy who can use the Force. Oh, no, he can't. He's just blind. I was just, I didn't care. Didn't care. Star Wars is all about the Force to me.
That might be my
Yeah.
favorite one-sentence review of Rogue One I've ever heard. If that's not on a T-shirt by the end of the week.
Yeah, I just never cared for it. And my buddy might have ruined the Endor for me. He goes, "This looks like it's a Kmart version of Dash Rendar on TV," and I'm like, "Oh, that's ruined now."
A Kmart version of Dash Rendar. That's a weird.
Because it's like, the Rogue's Han Solo but not Han Solo character. He rides a Millennium Falcon, but it's not a Millennium Falcon.
No, it's too. I think it's too dark to be Dash. Although I would love a Dash Rendar series. That would be amazing. That's what I actually want most.
Even though he is
What are you
Kmart Han
guys
Solo,
laughing about
I'll
so
take
much?
It's just brilliant.
I'm just waiting for your head to explode.
Why? I don't understand.
No, right.
Like genuinely,
Matt,
what am I doing that is so funny? I don't understand.
To put it into context, like on the show, we always discuss like TV shows. Like that's what we do. What's been going on? Disney Plus has got loads going on, and for the last couple of months, we've had loads of Marvel, we've had loads of Star Wars, and the one thing that, not to mention things like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones and Stranger Things, that kind of stuff, Cobra Kai. And the one thing that me and Ash both didn't watch was Andor. We kind of watched the first couple. And we were like, nah, we're good. But Ryan has missed so much stuff. But the one thing he put himself out to watch was Andor. So it's kind of like,
because I'm more Star Wars than Marvel.
It's yeah.
So am I. So am I. Which is interesting that I haven't watched Tales of the Jedi yet, but I will.
I think you'll enjoy that one though, because that is just it's solid Jedi.
I saw some clips.
It's just a big old bag
Yaddle.
of Jedi.
You give me some Yaddle, and I'm in.
My man!
Yeah.
I have been going on about Yaddle in this show to the point where I think Jake was actually considering banning me from it because I kept saying, bring up Yaddle. And I started writing it in the background.
It's not a coincidence that Yaddle shows up 2 years after Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda had to come from somewhere. Just saying. Those two spent a lot of time together in that era. Yoda, Yaddle, Grogu. It all kind of mixes together.
It's going to happen at some point. That's going to be origin story that we never knew we needed at some point.
I just imagine it being like a skit from The Ladies' Man with Yoda seducing Yaddle and just being like, I have a lot of power. Or no, he would say like, lots of power I have.
Yeah.
It does.
Well known,
the funny thing is,
Yeah.
it's funny that you say that though, because naturally, especially younger fans, you look at Grogu, he's the same species or race or whatever the correct terminology is as Yoda. So for a lot of younger fans, it's, well, clearly he's Grogu's dad because we haven't seen this character anywhere else. And now they go and introduce a female one into the an animated show. Like, younger fans are going to look, oh, that's Grogu's mum. Like, they're going to think they've sort of cracked some kind of, secret code in Star Wars. But I wouldn't be surprised if they throw that in. And I don't know how I feel.
Everyone will be disappointed when it doesn't happen. We'll be more disappointed when we found out that Snoke wasn't Darth Plagueis. I'm still pissed about that.
Yeah.
Now that was one of many wasted characters in that sequel trilogy.
Oh,
that could have been some very good writing there. That really could have.
You want to see some good Star Wars though?
What have you got?
I've got a vintage Bantha.
nice.
Oh, nice. When
I
did you
thought
get
he
that?
was pulling out a copy of episode 1.
No, that would have been funny though. No, it's this is my my favorite, my Stan Solo Bantha arrived. So this is not the fan strike back one that just basically didn't happen and stole all the money. But this is the one that actually happened, and it's awesome, and it feels proper vintage. It's even got like the old spring trap doors and everything. Like the
nice one.
But yeah, so there you go. There's my bit of vintage Star Wars goodness right there.
It's probably older than you.
Nah.
Nah?
No, this is brand new. So this is like, they never made it by Kenner, so it's just Stan Solo. So he makes sort of like new things that Kenner didn't make that were missing from like the original lineup. So he's made like an Ular figure, Slave Leia, and all that kind of stuff. They're all. I get a lot of the third-party vintage Star Wars stuff to sort of max out my things. So like Next 17, Trash Compactor. But yeah, so that's these things.
You had one with you yesterday as well. Which one was?
Yeah, that was I had my next 17 Ephant Mon figure.
See, and
Because
that's the
Ephant
kind of
Mon's
stuff
unready.
that if I'm HasLab and Hasbro, anytime you want to like hire me as a consultant, I'm here for you. All of the things that we see being bootlegged on the internet, the Death Star walls, the little parts, you could throw all of that together and make the coolest HasLab in 6-inch or 3 1/4 inch, 3 3/4 scale. Like you could do like a Death Star thing. I'm not saying make a Death Star playset, but have the components so that you can have either a trash compactor or a throne room or a conference room or a hallway, a hangar bay. Like
Yeah.
those Death Star walls that a third party did, they were selling them in the States for $200 for a seat for like a wall that was 6 inches and a floor that was 4 inches, and they could never keep them in stock.
Wow.
People
Yeah,
would go
it's a
bonkers.
no-brainer. I just it's my biggest sort of like confusion why they've just never done that at all. And they even touched on it lightly in like episode 3. They did like the figure bases could connect to make like sort of more like there was like and they almost make a mini diorama floor. It's like so you were almost there, Hasbro. You looked at the
I
idea.
think the failures in the vintage collection with the Cloud City, where you had to buy 2 of them to make a full set, or the Tantive 4, which I just got a bunch of them in the store from on closeout, and like they're great and they're modular. You can mix and match them. They're super cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Speaking
I ended
of
up going because I got a couple of those now, and then my mate's got a couple as well. So we're probably gonna combine and make like some sort of super one for like photo shoot.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Speaking of customs and third parties and stuff, did you pick up the selfie series? Did you get one of those, Matt?
No, I've seen too many horror shows of them. Basically, so what I am seeing is unless you got scanned in San Diego where they had like the really nice equipment to do it, it looks really bad. I think that I might have a decent chance of looking okay because it's not hard to do a bald head. But I've seen some really bad ones. They seem to struggle with hair and beards.
Yeah, I am because it's not open for us over here. It's literally just for you.
I didn't know that.
just for you guys in the States. So Hasbro have launched their Pulse app, but it's only available in the States. So the selfie series, even though they're talking about it over here, and they talked about it on the panel, and they had them out in the on the floor and stuff, that it's not actually available to us over here. But yeah, I'm like you. I've seen a lot of horror stories, like a lot of people kind of doing reveal videos and unboxing videos and stuff. And yeah, I didn't realize that they did a portion at San Diego though. I've seen the clips, but I didn't realize that they were actually people that could purchase there and then.
Yeah, so they were able to use those photos for it, and those obviously turned out way better. I think it's a fantastic idea. I just think the technology's not quite there yet.
No. It's definitely one of them ideas that's a couple of years ahead of its time, I think.
Yeah, like a lot of people trashed it when it was announced as stupid, and I was just like, "This is the greatest thing ever if it works."
Yeah. I am. I talked about it before, but I've got like a custom scan head, like custom of myself. It's a little bit out of date now. The hair's a different length and that kind of stuff, but it was really good, and I was really, really, really pleased with it. But it was done by like independent customer over here, and they had all the equipment to do it. But I suppose the demand, I don't know whether they're still doing it because there was quite a few people that jumped on it, and the price was still lower than what Hasbro were charging for it. But it was just for a head sculpt. But it was hand painted, and there was a lot more work that went into it. So I suppose that's why they turned out better. But I think when you're trying to mass produce something to such a huge market of so many different people, I'm yet to see one where somebody sort of turns around and go, yeah, this is me without a doubt.
It's the fact that on the 1027 when they were showing it off, they kept saying like, "Oh, and you can change the hair and things." Like, well, that isn't me then, is it? If you're taking my face and then shoving someone else's hair on it, what's the point?
Yeah.
And the thing as well is that they don't seem to account for like weight and size differences. Like everyone's got like a generic kind of sized hair. So,
what are you saying? What are you saying? If I buy one, I have to get fat Thor, do I? Is that what you're telling me?
They probably were like, wait a second, are you saying every body doesn't fit into a Bucky cat mold? That's not possible.
That's it. It's not. I literally had to. I waited until I had a. What body did I use?
It was Logan, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the Logan from the TV, from the movie, because he had the big jacket on and the shirt and everything like that. No, because he's taller. So, but he's more padded out than the regular figure, because I had it and I just had it on like a Peter Parker. And my wife was like, yeah, that's really good, but you do not look like that in a suit. And I was like, ouch.
My wife said I'd have to use the Doc Ock body. And that was like, I'm like, well, I'm not doing this. Jeez.
But see, now we've got the Ned body as well. I think that might be a better fit for me. So I might double up on that. So, you know,
I'll just stick to my vintage Jabba. That'll do.
Yeah, so that's TV and stuff. Let's talk a little bit about Halloween, because obviously this was a Halloween show, but we've only got a little bit left on the Halloween show. Halloween is your favorite time of the year, Sorrell. Let's be honest. This is your time of the year. What do you go all out over there, Matt, or is it
we, you know, with the kids, with the age they are, we just try to survive each day. So going all out for us was, we're going to make this trick-or-treating thing happen no matter what. Again, you know, just basically doing the bare minimum was us going all out, because we just don't have any time in the day. But we all went out. We did trick-or-treating. I did not dress up this year. Last year I went as Fat Thor, which I had to throw out the beard because I got my alcohol in it, and then it all got nasty. I still drank, so that was okay. We still had our neighbors giving out Jell-O shots, so that was good.
Nice.
Yeah, my neighborhood's quite interesting in that sense. So yeah, nothing too crazy or special. It tends to sneak up on me every year. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do Halloween. We're gonna do like a big family themed costume, and then it's like, crap, tomorrow's Halloween.
Yeah.
I decorated my my flat on October the 1st, and it's been like that the whole time, and I'm absolutely loving it. And I've got my full-size skeleton outside the balcony at the moment. Nice. And I'm pretty sure he'll still be there in the morning. I'm pretty sure it won't fall and hurt anyone, but you know, it looks good.
I think a lot of us Brits we're kind of repressed a little bit, because when we were kids, we weren't allowed to celebrate it because it was an American holiday. It's not something that we do over here. And like, it was kind of like I don't know if it's the same for you gents, but growing up, I was very much, not my parents, but just where we lived. Like, no one dressed up, no one decorated. And you might be lucky because the person down at number 15, like if you go there and trick or treat, they've got some sweets and stuff. So whereas now it's kind of like those kids are now adults, and we've kind of gone, fuck it, let's go to town. It's just like,
plus, we've watched way more American movies, so we're way more into it.
Nice.
Yeah. So now it's literally, you cannot move for like walking into, you know, and I've been States quite a few times, and our stores are on par with some of the stores over there, with like decorations and tacky kind of bits to hang out of places that you didn't even know existed on houses and stuff. Like, people just
skeleton lights.
Go all out. Yeah, skeleton lights. But yeah, we got a couple of roads close to me where they go all out, like almost more than sort of Christmas and that kind of holiday. So that's where we always go trick or treating, and it's just it's a lot of fun. But we're going tomorrow night because it's a school night, and I'm one of those dads. I'm like, I don't care if it's a school night.
Oh, my wife's taking my kids to another neighborhood tomorrow night so they can double dip. So our township did it on Thursday, and then she's taking them to another one tomorrow. And I'm like, whatever, as long as they don't figure out where their candy's going, it's fine.
As long as you still get your cut, it's fine.
Yeah, you know, we got to pay the tax.
Yeah, but it's similar for me though, because where we're going, it's not my neighborhood as such. It's like it's up the road, but it's kind of like they don't ask for residency when we kind of walk down. Like, which number do you live at?
So my wife kind of pulled that the other day. She was trying to be friendly. She thought she recognized the guy who moved in, and my wife's like the friendliest person ever. She talks to everyone. She goes, "Oh, so where in this neighborhood do you live?" And I'm like, I'm like, Anna, what are you doing? She goes, "Oh, I thought they were the ones who moved in the 118. I'm like, no, they're not even close. Like,
don't go back to that house. They are really territorial. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. But so I haven't got a costume this year. I've not got a costume. Like, my kids have all got their costumes. Very Marvel themed. My youngest is going as Black Panther. My eldest boy is going as Venom. We did like a costume last year with like the arm as the symbiote. You know, you must have seen them online. Yeah. We made that last year, and he wants to pull that one out again. And they were like, "Oh, you need a Marvel costume," and I'm like, "How have I not got a full Marvel costume just at hand?" I was like, I could wear like a gauntlet and and a shield and a helmet, and like just mix it up a little bit. So I don't know.
You could totally pull off like the Iron Man 3 Mandarin easily. Trevor.
Yes.
You can be Trevor.
Yeah.
Get your little turkey to walk around with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I could do that. That'd be a lot of fun.
Kind of like me and Ryan can just shave our face and be the Kingpin. I can pull that off a little easier. My son keeps telling me to do it.
Have you seen this artwork? I stare at it for hours.
Vanessa,
I'm angry.
I am happy.
Thing is, if I dressed up as the Mandarin, I'll just look like some homeless guy walking around like trick or treating.
That's why you need
in that case, you can be Big Lebowski, so it's fine. It wins in two ways.
Right, listen. Look, Matt's was good. Yours is just an insult, man. I'm not.
It's the dude. Don't ever mock the dude.
Yeah. But yeah, so Halloween though. Do you have a particular go-to Halloween film, or is there what's your favorite?
With kids, we went to Hocus Pocus, of course, every year. And then this year we graduated to Ghostbusters. So that was fun. They can't they still won't do horror at all. My wife will she'll like, well, I want to watch it, but we got to do it during the day. I'm like, well then I can't see the TV. The sun's on the TV.
So your wife's a little bit better in that respect than mine then, because mine won't even touch horror now. Yeah. She's like, no, if like we put The Watcher on Netflix, and she wouldn't watch it. She was like, nope, I don't like it. And I was like, oh, fuck's sake, it's just about some bad neighbours. Like, this isn't even like it's not even scary anymore. But yeah, so all my horror I have to do on my own. But did you watch Hocus Pocus 2?
Not yet. I haven't watched it yet because I haven't gotten it. I switched over to Ghostbusters after the first one. I'm curious to see how it is. I'm very intrigued. Like, 30 years later, however many years it is, good.
It's good. Yeah, it's a good one.
I love it.
I think my go-to Halloween film, like, obviously is I love Halloween, but me and John Maybe, who's been on the show before, like he's expanded my horror film catalogue by about 3,000% with loads of obscure ones. But I still think my favourite one, and I'm actually going to see it at the cinema tomorrow night because they're doing an anniversary release, is John Carpenter's The Thing. Okay. It's just one of my favorite. I think it's just brilliant. I don't think I've ever gone to Halloween without watching that. So I think that would be my go-to Halloween film.
See, for me personally, it's Halloween. Like, I love Halloween movies. Even the really cheesy, terrible ones that were done in like the early 90s were like
H2O and Resurrection.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look, he's dead. We got him. Oh, no, he's not. I guess we'll have to get him next year.
He's not human, Michael.
Yeah.
What about you, Sorrel? What's your go-to Halloween film?
So with the kids, my go-to Halloween film would be Disney's Ichabod Crane. The Sleepy Hollow, but the Disney one.
Wow,
so I love the soundtrack to that. But my alone time movie, because my wife don't watch horror either, would be Trick or Treat.
Ooh. Good shout.
I love Sam. Sam is my favorite little horror.
Apparently, there's a sequel in development, isn't there?
Supposedly.
I've never actually seen it.
Oh,
neither have I.
It's so
great
cheesy.
Film.
It's a cheesy movie, but it's great. It's just a little ensemble. Yeah, it's like an ensemble cast kind of thing, where everything's like happening at different times throughout the neighborhood, and it comes full circle by the end. It's a great little story. It gives you the proper Halloween feels.
See, for me, like growing up, I watched all the classics, kind of the Freddys, the Jasons, the Michaels, like all that kind of stuff, and they.
I really wish they were actually just called that.
Yeah, they were like
Michael 4.
That's how I group them together. They're like some dodgy 70s kind of
the first name killers. Oh no.
Yeah. But they're all the sort of the classics for me. But I don't know. For me, it was the things like Puppet Master and Child's Play. They were the ones that got me as a kid. As a kid, they messed me up. Like I don't know, the Halloweens and the Freddys and stuff like that. It was scary and it would make me jump, and I would definitely think about it the next day and stuff. But the Puppet Masters, the Child's Plays, like they're the ones that really kind of
stuck with the brain.
Triggered something. But then I like the really cheesy, obscure ones. Do you remember Critters?
Yeah, Critters 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Critters Attack, which is the 5th one. I love Critters.
About the little like space hedgehogs that kind of come down and just ate things. Like films like that. And there's there's a couple of really dark ones as well, but just the more obscure films like that were the ones that kind of got me, and I just don't think you get that nowadays. Like, I'm
You don't
waiting
get
for a good
Leprechaun
film.
4 in space anymore. You know, that's what you're missing.
Leprechaun in the Hood.
No, you get
Speaking of which, by the way,
Tiffany,
Stephen,
Trouble
yeah.
in Paradise. And it's just them going to their marriage counselor.
I'd still watch it.
Yeah.
Stephen
To be
Butler
honest,
has come up with saying that he actually recently purchased Trick or Treat based on Sorrell's love for it. So there you go. You've converted someone, Ash, to watch the Trick or Treat.
To be fair, I do have an entire playlist on my channel just dedicated to the love for Sam. I've got I'm ridiculously proud to say I have every Sam character they've ever made. Any figure, statue, I own every single one. Because it's like a new thing. It's not that old of a collection to go for. I've been able to get one of everything so far, so I'm happy with it.
Nice. Steve's next comment come up as well. Creep Show. See, things like that kind of messed me up a little bit as a kid. I'm not gonna lie. There was one episode of Creep Show where they were in a lake and there was like a black tar that kind of ate them. I'm sure that was Creep Show. What was the other one? Tales from the Crypt, was it?
Yeah,
Tales from the Crypt.
It was one of those.
The Gate, that's a good one. Yeah, I forgot about The Gate.
You are right. The Gate, to this day, still messes me up. I'm not even going to lie. There is a scene in The Gate. Yeah, it's the one where they dig up a tree in the garden and, unbeknown to them, open up a portal to hell. Like, it's so bonkers. But there's a scene in The Gate where they think that they're in bed or something like that, and there's like the little goblin creatures running on the shelf and knocking things over, and I can still, when I'm turning the lights off at night, I'd still look at shelves to check that there's no like but I haven't dug any trees up, so I'm good. Like, it's
what you
fine.
don't realise is they're just hiding your display cabinet behind you.
Yeah, they all move.
Amongst your figures,
it's fine. Did you notice as well? Have you noticed the big? Oh no, not that side. This side. Look. Oh no, you can't see it, but they've all fallen down. Yeah.
Oh,
There's like a big hole, but Ryan's incredibly close. But no, Creep Show. There was an episode of Creep Show where there was like this black tar in a lake, and these kind of like teens had kind of found this lake and they swam out and climbed onto this kind of this dock in the middle of the lake, and then this black tar kind of surrounded the dock, and then one of them dived in, or the black tar came up and pulled him in or something like that, and then they were trying to outswim it to get back to the shore, and they all got eaten by this tar. And then when I came out to the States, I worked upstate New York and I worked on a lake and there was a dock, and I was kind of like, oh man, this is where
I get killed by a tar blob monster.
Yeah, they were the things that sat in my head, and I think it was Creep.
Yeah, it was Creep Show. I believe what you're referring to is Creep Show 2. I've done a quick Google and it's Lake Blob.
There you go.
Stephen King's one.
Yeah. There was another one as well. I think it was Tales from the Crypt or something, and it was about a bed or a sofa that ate people, and like the person dated somebody, like went out and kind of like picked somebody up in the clubs or whatever, brought them back, and then like fed them to their sofa or their bed or whatever it was. And then the big twist at the end of it was that he met someone and he really liked her, and she said, "Oh, come back to mine." And he was like, "Oh yeah, we'll go back to yours, because obviously if I take you to mine, my bed's going to eat you." And then she had a sofa of the same race and was feeding him to the sofa. And I was like, no, like, she's got one too. But it was cheesy, like horror like that just.
If you wanted cheesy, you only had to watch the 90s Goosebumps show where it was like meant to be in America, but it was all made in Canada. So they were like, oh, what's this monster reboot? You know, like, quick, get out the house. Like, but the best thing is there's loads of like people starting their careers in there, like Hayden Christensen, Ryan Gosling is in Say Cheese and Die, and it's just like it's just fantastic. But I think a couple of the series are on Netflix at the moment, but they are so brilliant. And I remember how much scared of some of them I was as a kid. Now I'm watching as an adult, I'm like, this is just brilliant. It's not scary, but it's brilliant. Adam West was in one playing a superhero called like The Galloping Gazelle.
Why not?
And he does, just coming in and just being, like, I didn't get paid enough to do this. But he's just having a great time. You just know it's straight away.
I just think that in today's market, we're kind of oversaturated with television and TV and that kind of stuff, that the really good thing is just kind of go under the radar and don't become like cult classics quick enough, if that makes sense. And I think about, and it's not even that long ago, this is maybe late 90s, early noughties, Starship Troopers. So that's not a Halloween film.
Oh.
But if Starship Troopers came out now, it would just disappear. But that is such a kind of it's such a iconic kind of cult classic now. But I think that because of Prime and Disney Plus and Netflix and stuff, a film like that would get released and disappear very quickly. Whereas obviously back then you would have stuff and it would have enough time that people would have to go and rent it out and have it in their collection for 3 days before they returned it. So they would watch it more than once. And, but that's just the old fart in me going. But yeah, anything else about Halloween you want to talk, Sorrell? Because you're the Halloween guy.
He's Headless Horseman, isn't it?
Oh, I can go grab the Headless Horseman if you want, because it is the best thing I've bought this year. That is instant win for Halloween figure of the year. Is that? No, I was going to say that. Oh, you put me up a train of thought now. Did anybody go to the comic book store the other day? Because it was free comic book day, and it was trick or read, as they call it, trick or read. And it's like Marvel give away free comic books, and there were some really good ones this year, all Halloween editions. And we got the Son of Satan had one of the comics. He's appearing in the new Strange Academy, which is kind of cool. It's like the son of Dormammu and things like that. It's dead cheesy. It's like there's like kids that are like learning how to do the like magical arts with like the son of Dormammu, the son of Satan, and a couple of other people. And like there's like a Ghost Rider kid in there. It's a great little series. I'm going to pick that up from now on. I think that's brilliant. Well, cheesy.
I don't really have a comic book store in Chelmsford anymore, do we?
No, it disappeared. I use the app. Speaking of it, though, before we do round up, Guardians Galaxy Holiday Special trailer dropped.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
It just came out of nowhere. It's coming on to
and
Disney
so did
Plus
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon's in it as Kevin Bacon. It's just bizarre. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But yeah, it's coming out on the 25th of November. Basically, from the looks of the trailer, the Guardians are going to celebrate Christmas to make Star-Lord feel a little better. So they travel to Earth to kidnap Kevin Bacon and take him as a Christmas present. That is essentially what the trailer tells you. Like, bonkers. But if James Gunn's anything to judge it by, it's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And the thing is, I react when I saw Kevin Bacon. I was like, can't believe putting Kevin Bacon in like the Guardians. And then I remembered, actually, about 2 weeks ago, I watched Guardians Galaxy 2: A Secret Cinema, and David Hasselhoff's in it. I was like, I should really stop being surprised by random people being in these movies.
Yeah. And if you were Kevin Bacon, they make such a big deal about Kevin Bacon in it. You'd kind of go, yeah, I'll do that. I'm good for that. But the one big takeaway that I got from that trailer, and it kind of ties into Halloween and all the rest of it, is that the Werewolf by Night special presentation had that Marvel special presentation branding and introduction, and they've used the same.
That sounded bad.
I just dropped tea everywhere. Ignore me. It's fine.
That's the Headless Horseman. It's now the Legless Horseman and the Headless Horseman and the Horseless Horseman. It's just tea. But they've used the same branding for Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special as they did for the Werewolf by Night. So whether that's something that they're gonna kind of roll out moving forward and use as something for Disney, I don't know. I'm game. I'm up for it. So
yeah, more specials. I'm good with that. Little one-offs.
Yeah. So before we do round up, Matt, just tell anyone that's watching, listening, where can they find your store, your stuff? Because you've had quite a good few people recommend and talk about delivery and stuff. I'm just gutted you don't ship to the UK, because you'd be my go-to without a doubt.
Yeah, I actually do, but it's absolutely not worth it. The shipping costs are insanity. It's more than the toys. But yeah, nerdzoic.com, YouTube, all over social media. We got all your Hasbro, NECA, and Four Horsemen stuff covered for now. Maybe more in the future.
Nice. What's the hot thing at the moment? What's the big sellers?
Well, there's a lot of clearance going on in the States, so I've been able to secure some good deals. So I've been doing full waves of older Hasbro product for $100 for the wave.
Wow.
So I've had the Watcher Build-A-Figure wave, the Captain America Build-A-Figure wave, the Colossus Age of Apocalypse one. So those have been going pretty bonkers. And then I got these in the other day. These are almost gone because I think I'm the only one in the States who has it in stock right now. So, yeah, every day something new and different.
Amazing. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I check out your store just to kind of look at it and kind of go, oh man, just because I know you do these crazy sales, and you know, yeah, it's $100 for a wave. That's like a retro price tag. Like we were saying even just on the show a couple of weeks ago how you used to be able to pick up a wave of Marvel Legends for like £100.
Yeah.
Like, and that was it. And now obviously it's so much more expensive. So that's brilliant for people that obviously don't have those figures. And
yeah, it's funny because a lot of people are like, man, I should have waited. And I'm like, dude, you're playing roulette then. You never know what's going to end up on the liquidation aisle.
No. And that's one thing that I've said to, because you know people do ask me kind of questions, and should I wait for this one, or should do you recommend that you buy the whole wave? And I just sort of say just do what makes you happy and what you can afford. Like don't break the bank for anything. But it is a roulette game because you don't know which figures are gonna become really popular, become really sought after. If they're figures you want, like go for it. But if you're in a position where you couldn't afford them at the time, and then you have people like yourself doing sales like that, like that's the time for people to jump on it and take advantage of that without doubt. It's interesting though, because with the Hasbro sales, like, because they've obviously lost a lot of money in the recent kind of announcement of where their sales are. So there's a lot of rumors that there's going to be quite a lot of sales coming up of retailers and Hasbro and stuff having excess stock. So
there's a good amount. Like I know where their stock levels lie pretty much everywhere. It's not as bad as you might think, but there's certain things that are like, there's a bonkers amount of it.
Yeah.
And they went really hog wild this summer with everything, all the Spider-Man stuff. I don't think they've ever done a print run that big because it is everywhere right now. Yeah.
We don't tend to get as many sales over here. Yeah, in the UK, unfortunately, we're seeing a bit more of them now, but they tend to be the same figure in all the different shops.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like, unless you really want that. I think the lowest I've seen figures at the moment is what's his name? I've completely blanked. The Arcade.
Oh, okay.
And he's going for like £6.50. Yeah. Oh look. Dan.
Dan, yeah.
Dan in the chats. Dan in the chats, literally just for a sec. Yes, yeah. Dan, how you doing? I mentioned that earlier on that we met in real life, which was bizarre. But yeah, good to see you, Dan. Thanks for stopping by. But yeah, Arcade was £6.50, I think, on Amazon, and I was kind of like, man, that's almost worth buying just because it's £6.50. Like
there's a lot of places over here who way overbought on stock, and you're going to see on this side there's going to be a ton of deals to be had. There already is a lot of them. Some of the bigger stores out here, they've already clearanced out a lot of the stuff that was this year. I'm pretty careful with my ordering. Like I have rules when I'm ordering for the store. Like I only order heavy on things if it's Spider-Man or an Army Builder or Boba Fett. Like it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's an interesting journey. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's I'm excited to see what 2023 brings. But yeah, right. But I think we've covered everything. Have we missed anything? Are we good?
I think so. I just work it. I don't know.
Sorrel? Did you manage to clear your tea up?
Yeah, a little bit. I made a little mess, but I've cleared it up now. Oh. It doesn't help. It doesn't help. I'm drinking out of a gallon-sized thing either, does it? So that's just gone everywhere. But I'm good. No. I'm all right.
Good.
It's good.
Cool. Matt, thanks ever so much for jumping in. It's
Absolutely.
always a pleasure to have you on board, and sort of see what your take is on things. Ryan, I'm sorry that we upset you with Star Wars. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I know I can joke because I know Matt's a big Star Wars fan, so it's like it's all good intentions. But yeah, no. So obviously, anyone that is watching, listening, if you don't already, go and check out Nerdzoic across all social media, and definitely if you're stateside, check out his store. It is an awesome one. And as always, geekweekinreview.co.uk is where all the socials and all the stuff is. I'll put a few of Matt's links in the description of this video once it gets all published and goes out. But yeah, I think that's about everything. Anything anyone want to say?
Keep it geek.
No?
There's no turning back now.
Okay.
There you are.
There's
That's,
no turning back.
Can't
now.
follow that up.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Right, brilliant. Matt, thanks ever so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Until next week, keep it geek.